The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Ryan Charnock with CDH. This is 5-Minute Fridays, where I give you a tip in 5 minutes or less, or a story that we're happening in the field live within the SharePoint and SharePoint Online community. So years ago, I saw the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. However, if I think about that movie right now, I can't remember much other than there was a train, Western, guys with guns. So that's what happens when you see something a long time ago, you lose a lot of the details. So this week, I got asked a question from something that I used to know. I was asked by a client that said, hey, Ryan, if I turn on and I turn off or disable the content approval features within Office 3, within a SharePoint site, will I lose all of my history? And I was like, I don't think so. And I remember it vaguely like doing this a couple of times. This is now like 10 years ago, okay? And I don't remember exactly what the outcome would be. So I had to try it out. And so that's what I'm gonna show you guys here today. So let's go find out. If we have content approval enabled, we turn it off, okay? And we wanna maybe migrate in some content, all right? Will we lose all that history if we disable it and then re-enable the content approval? So here's the scenario I have set up for you guys. I have a standard SOP library or standard operating procedure library. You notice here I have the approval status column is enabled, okay? And notice I have some history here. This is a workflow where it's been approved, it's been rejected, and we have a whole bunch of version history. So this is the version or the history that we're looking to preserve. So the idea is the client says, well, Ryan, I want to bring in a whole bunch of new documents, but I don't want to trigger this approval workflow and send out a gazillion emails late on a Friday afternoon. So can you make this happen? Let's go try it out. So to disable the content approval feature, I go up to library settings. I'm working in SharePoint Online, but I got this in a classic mode. I go into versioning settings, and then right here is where we find the content approval feature. I'm going to flip this over to no, and notice what the message here says. After disabling the content approval, pending and rejected items would appear in public views. Now that's a very promising information there, comparatively to saying you're going to lose all your history. Okay, so let's enable that. We'll say yes, we turned it off. I'm going to click OK, and we're going to notice now if I go back to my SOP library that approval status column is now missing. So basically, the rules have now been lifted, and now I can migrate in a whole bunch of content. So let's go do a quick little migration. I'm gonna grab a couple of test files. I've got some test files ready to go here. And let's go through 10 through 12. They're cooking in. Looks good. Notice they come in as version 0.1. Now, the client also said that when they arrive, they want to show up as an approved published version. So before I enable it, let's kind of set this up so that like when we enable the content approval, that these documents will act like they've been there the whole time. All right, so we can do that by doing the publish. Once I do a publish, that's going to change the version number from 0.1 to a 1.0, or a whole number. So I'm going to do that. I got to do that for each one individually, which isn't really the greatest or the funnest thing, the way to spend an afternoon, okay? But it's getting the job done, and we're gonna find out real quick. And I gotta do 12 was the last one. So there we go. I imported in 10 through 12. They're now at a whole number, okay? And we wanna now find out, once I re-enable this, am I gonna lose my content approval kind of history? Have we lost it? And how does it behave with these new ones that came in? So quick, let's go over to library settings. We're going to the versioning settings. We're gonna flip the switch back on to yes, and we're gonna say okay, over to settings, and here comes the big money moment. Woohoo! It kept it, look at this. They're approved, or the rejected was still set. We kept the history of draft. Notice these new documents, 10 through 12, they all start off in approved status. And so a little refresher course for you here today, guys, is that if you have the content approval feature with the standard SharePoint out of the box approval workflow, if you disable it, Then you can migrate in a whole slew of documents, just a basic upload. And then when you re-enable the content approval features and the approval workflows, any changes at that point, you're not gonna lose any of your history, and you're safe. So just like you kind of over time, you might lose some of the freshness. Hopefully this is a nice little refresher on the content approval feature. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time, next Friday. Bye-bye.